Okay, so let's go back in time. It's December of 1940. A young man basically walks out of his own life, gets into his car, and just starts driving west. And this isn't some fun road trip. No, this is a desperate, non-stop flight across the entire country, fueled by a secret that he's trying to outrun. The man's name was Frederick Seaver, Jr. He was 29 years old. And he would later claim that he drove for 3 straight days with 0 sleep. I mean, think about that. It sounds almost impossible, right?
And the distance he covered? Over 2,000 miles, from the middle of the country all the way to the California coast. Just try to imagine doing that on the kinds of roads they had back in the 1940s, winding, primitive, 2-lane highways. It must have been an absolutely grueling, relentless drive.
So this is the central mystery, isn't it? What could possibly push someone to do something so extreme? Well, the answer takes us from a really simple excuse to a secret that is deeply personal and honestly just heartbreaking.
All right, so let's start with the story that Fred actually told his family. It was a practical reason, totally plausible, but as we're about to see, it wasn't even close to the whole truth.
And, on the surface, this makes total sense. Who wouldn't want to flee a harsh New England winter for sunny California? It was a pretty common dream. But when a guy suddenly quits his job, leaves his home, and abandons everyone he knows, you kind of have to suspect it's about a little more than just bad weather, right?
Yeah, because the real reason, the thing that turned this trip into a desperate escape, had absolutely nothing to do with shoveling snow. The real reason wasn't the cold, it was love. You see, Fred had just asked his girlfriend Mary's father for her hand in marriage, and he was hit with an absolute, unshakable no. In that single moment, his entire world just fell apart.
Now, it's a little hard for us to wrap our heads around today, but back in 1940, a paternal decree like this was pretty much the final word. The problem was religion. Mary was Catholic, Fred was Episcopalian, and for her father, that was a wall that just couldn't be climbed. The relationship was over, not by their choice, but by his decree.
And just to make an already painful situation even more complicated, there were these whispers going around the family. Fred's sisters thought maybe Mary was pregnant, which of course would have added this whole other layer of scandal and urgency. His brother, though, always insisted that wasn't true. We'll probably never know for sure. It's a detail lost to time. But the rumors alone show you just how chaotic and shattering this whole thing was for Fred.
So, with a broken heart and his entire future in Massachusetts basically erased, Fred did the only thing he could think of. He got in his car and pointed it west. All that emotional turmoil just got channeled into this epic physical journey.
And the pace he kept was just relentless. He leaves Massachusetts, and by the first day, he's already in Columbus, Ohio. From there, he mails a quick letter to his aunt in San Diego that just says, "I'm coming." Then he jumps on the legendary Route 66, pushing west and west until he finally collapses in San Diego.
Now, was he literally awake for 72 hours? It's hard to say for sure, but the fact that he claimed that, it tells you everything you need to know about his state of mind. This was not a guy who could afford to stop, because if he stopped moving, he'd have to think, and if he had to think, he'd have to feel the exact pain he was trying so desperately to run away from.
And you've got to remember, this is 1940. We're talking no interstate highways. He's on these 2-lane roads that slice right through the middle of every little town. He's figuring out where to go with paper maps, probably fueled by endless cups of coffee from roadside diners, just him, the monotonous winter landscape, and his own thoughts for company. It must have been a real ordeal.
So after 3 days of this frantic escape, the journey finally ends. Fred makes it to San Diego. But he wasn't there for a vacation. He was there to start a brand new life. I mean, you can just picture it, can't you? Him pulling up to his Aunt Emily's house on Terrace Drive, completely exhausted, unshaven, his clothes all rumpled from basically living in his car for 3 days. The physical toll of the journey was just written all over his face.
But what he found when he got there was a lifeline. His aunt and his cousins, they welcomed him right in. They gave him a safe harbor. It was there, in the California sunshine, that he could finally stop running and start the very slow process of healing.
The story doesn't really end with his arrival, though. That drive, it created its own legacy, and it left behind these questions that, even today, we still can't really answer.
First, and this is the most obvious one, what happened to Mary? Did she ever know what Fred went through after her father said no? Did she end up marrying someone else?
Her part of the story is like a ghost in this narrative. We have no idea.
And really, this is the core question of his entire journey. Was this whole thing just a pure act of desperation, an escape from terrible pain? Or was it, maybe, on some subconscious level, an act of hope, a frantic race toward a new beginning that he couldn't even see yet?
There's no way Fred could have known it then, staring out at that endless road. But that door that slammed shut in Massachusetts was actually pushing him onto a path to a whole new life in California. It's just this incredible, powerful reminder that sometimes our most devastating moments, they're the ones that, against all odds, end up leading us exactly where we were always meant to be.